Planning board regular meeting Thursday, August 14th, 2025 to order at 9:30 a.m. Roll call. Please.
Member Bobby,
Present.
Member Powell, Member David,
Present.
Member Axelrod,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Rosen,
Present.
Chairperson Mendelson,
Present.
Town Attorney Rubin.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay. Swearing in of the public. Mr. Hart, anybody here from the public speaking?
Okay, please raise your right hand. By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Okay, approval of the minutes. I read them. They looked okay to me. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unfinished business. Proposed amendments to the Town Code of Ordinances regarding the town's comprehensive plan based on the evaluation and appraisal review. Our last meeting carried this over. We had some comments and I assume that you're here to discuss. Yes? Okay. So,
Chair, actually, I'll.
oh,
start
you're
with-
going to start?
Oh,
Okay.
And then I'll give
Great.
Emily the
Okay.
floor.
Town Planner Allen, we'll start.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to recap for anyone watching the memorandum that's on page 8 of your packets. So as you just indicated, if the board recalls, you all had that meeting on July 10th. You did consider again the proposed amendments. This is an update to the town's comprehensive plan. It's based on the evaluation appraisal review that was done by the town's planning consultant Inspire. The board, right, you moved to continue the item to today and you wanted staff to bring back the changed language for consideration. A discussion by the board at that July meeting included flexibility in the process of doing affordable housing, not encouraging assisted living or small market uses, and not encouraging buses on State Road A1A. So based on this discussion, Inspire provided you some revisions to the goals, objectives, and policies. These start on page 8 and go through page 10, and Emily will go over those in just a moment. I also wanted to note there were other non-substantive revisions that were made. These include a cover sheet and a map outline that were added to the future land use map series. That's on page 108 and page 109 of your packets. And on the existing land use map, the townhouses of Highland Beach condominium, on the map that was provided to you at the July 10th meeting, the existing land use was shown as recreation open space, which is an error. The existing use is based on the principal structure, which is, as you all know, residential multifamily. So that was changed on existing land use. As you know, on the west side of the parcel, it's an open area with a bench and a seawall. So I talked to Emily about it and she's like, I think the GIS person initially saw open space and kind of went with it, but it was caught. There were just some other, again, non-substantive changes to 3 policies. So I'll just show you those on a PowerPoint. Okay, so right here you have the existing policy. It's in our coastal management conservation element. It's currently policy 2.1.5. So it was provided to you at the July 10th meeting. Now I've highlighted that yellow area. This last sentence was provided to you at the July 10th meeting in a strike through. But when you look at the original policy, that last sentence was not in the original policy. It ended up just being a note by the consultant. They added a note. Again, it was provided to you as strike through. So you could see at the bottom there, I provided how the policies provided to you in your packets today. That last sentence is gone. Okay.
Can you read that? I can't read it.
I can't read that.
Oh, I could go ahead. You want me to read the
highlighted.
now? Oh, the
Yeah.
highlight reads, the town shall annually review construction permits to ensure compliance with this objective. Again, that's not part of the original language, so you can't strike through things that are not originally there, right? Okay.
Yes, and just to add on to that, like during the editing process, it was something we might have just like relocated and then heard off.
Okay.
So we caught that as we were reviewing. this.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The next one here, this is another coastal management element. You could see how it currently exists in our comprehensive plan. It's objective 1.3. It was provided to the planning board on July 10th. And again, the yellow areas, the words that are now going to be removed. You could see it's coastal management policy 2.1.10. So you have the word property was strike through on the July 10th packet and of the town code of ordinances. Now that whole sentence is new, so there shouldn't be a strike through, right? So in the policy, how it's provided to you today in your packets, you could see that the word property was removed and of the town ordinances, code of ordinances that was removed. And I'll just add, for the floodplain management regulations, we do have floodplain management regulations in our code, but we also have floodplain regulations or floodplain management regulations that are in part of FEMA and part of the Florida Building Code. So it's not specific to just our code of ordinances. So I just want to give you a little backup on that. And then just one more. Again, this is another policy that's currently in our coastal management element. You can see on the top, that's how the policy originally reads. In your July 10th packet, that policy was struck through. And you could see that a new policy, which is in the capital improvements element, was created, policy 1.3.6. That policy shouldn't have been struck through because it's carried over to this new capital improvements element. And then you could see what is provided to you today at your at the August 14th packet. In the packet, that policy 1.5.3, it's no longer struck through. And you could see the same policy that was provided to you, that capital improvements policy, it's exactly the same as it was provided to you in July. So again, just some minor changes there. With that said, I'll go ahead and give the floor to Emily. Again, she's the project manager for this update to our comprehensive plan. And we also have in Zoom, Chris Dougherty, who's the principal planner for Inspire, who's able to chime in as needed. So I'll give Emily the floor.
Thank you, Ingrid. I'm gonna be sharing my PowerPoint. I just wanna check. Is this working? Yes.
Yeah, you're.
Thank you, Ingrid. Good morning, planning board members. Emily Vivitt. I am a planner for Inspire Making Collective and a project manager for this project. Online, we have Chris Dougherty, who's principal planner, principal of our firm, as well as principal in charge of the project.
Oh, thank you. As a quick reminder, Inspire Placemaking Collective was founded back in 2022 and is home to more than 30 professionals specializing in planning and landscape architecture, as you can see on this slide. And so at the July 10th meeting, our team had walked through the amendment process and provided a summary of the draft update. And through that discussion, the board had recommended revisions to several objectives and policies, also known as GOPs. The revisions fall under the future land use, transportation, and housing elements and focus on topics such as affordable housing, density, redevelopment potential, and transportation policy elements. Board members, as we understood, had mentioned that some housing policies felt overly rigid and had suggested more flexible language. Concerns were also raised about references to ALFs, small markets, and public transit on State Road A1A, specifically whether those had aligned with the town's character and preferences. At the conclusion of the meeting, the board had recommended for staff to return today, August 14th, with a recommendation to revise some of the text. The first change is to objective future land use element 1.1, which is found on page 0 of 55. The purpose here was to clarify the intent of the original language. As you can see highlighted in yellow on this slide, which is point 9, the change involved that the town will promote the maintenance of a safe and efficient level of traffic service on State Road 81A to help reduce congestion-related impacts such as noise levels and air pollution, and to preserve the overall quality of life in the town.
Excuse me, Emily, I really can't read that. Can you tell me where it is
Yes.
in our packet? Because we have different pages.
Chair,
We don't have the objectives, we have the actual language.
if you go to page 8 of your packets,
8, yes.
from page 8 to page 10 are all the revisions that the
Right.
board wanted. So yeah, you'll follow it. You could see on page 9, actually, the future land use 1.1 starts on page 8, but the actual revision that Emily's talking about is at the top of page 9. You see number 9?
Yeah.
So the new language that Inspire worked on, it's double underlined for anything new, right? To distinguish between the original changes that were provided to you on June 10th, and any new deletions are provided by a double strike through bolded. So a double strike through bolded, so you could again distinguish between initial strike throughs that were provided to you on July 10th and what is provided to you today, again, based on Inspire's revision. So it'll help you see the boldest stuff is the new stuff that Inspire's providing to you today.
Yes, so just to repeat, I can read it out again, the new language. So we we drafted it to become promote the maintenance of a safe and efficient level of traffic service on State Road A1A to help reduce congestion-related impacts such as noise levels and air pollution, and to preserve the overall quality of life in the town. So this one was just, helping clarify the language because it was a little bit confusing as it was originally written down.
Okay.
All right, so the next policy is policy flu 1.1. And so this policy was part of just a greater conversation that the town will be having. No direction was provided, but I thought we could talk about it again today. And the language that we proposed was the town may work towards allowing existing buildings to redevelop or substantially redevelop at their original densities in order to 1, maintain a stable population and tax base, and 2, encourage its older building stock to rebuild or substantially renovate to meet current building code and safety standards. Additional standards such as maintaining existing heights or footprints may be considered in the land development code. So currently, there are situations where existing buildings can't redevelop at their original density, so that's why we incorporated this policy.
On the first line, it says existing buildings to redevelop or substantially, you said redevelop, should that be renovate or redevelop?
It
Either
says renovate.
It says renovate here, but when she read it, she
Yes,
said
he said redevelop, yeah.
Oh, sorry, a redevelop or
So that's,
substantially.
that's what I want to know, which.
Oh,
one-
sorry. I have the Zoom and I think it was hiding it, so I by mistake.
It is renovate.
Yes,
Okay.
it is
that's-
renovate.
That's fine.
I wonder if there's a way to hide this. Okay, perfect. All right. So next is policy flu 1.1.7. And this was a new policy that we had proposed originally, but when the planning board chair had requested it to be removed. And it was originally put in there based on demographic analysis and internal discussions that we had through our team and with staff, particularly addressing the density as part of the town strategic priorities plan. And the idea was really to reflect lower population projections due to limited redevelopment potential under current density provisions. So that's why it's showing as it's underlined, but we struck it through for this recommendation. All right, the next policy that was drafted and edited was Transportation 1.1.4. And so here we removed encourages and supports. As requested, it now reads as the town may consider expansion of present area transit service to include service along State Road A1A, where consistent with community preferences and in coordination with the Florida Department of Transportation and regional transit providers. The town may disseminate schedule information, route maps, and bus stop locations to residents if such service is implemented. The next policy that was edited was housing. Oh, yes.
Rather than go back and do, if we could do just the one thing, if it talks about bus stop locations, and I know this is sort of namby-pamby, but could it just be transit service locations? Because it may not be buses, it might be golf carts at some point, it may be self-driving cars at some point.
Okay.
So just so that it contains the broader language for the next 20 years, rather than bus stop, maybe just a transit service stop.
I agree. It was announced, somebody sent me a thing this morning in Boca, whatever, Coastal News, whatever that is, that the Boca, whoever they are, who decides things, is implementing a self-driving shuttle between Royal Palm and Meisner Park.
So, you know, if it just says transit service, I think that'll cover us and be broad enough.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I definitely think
Good
that's
idea.
Yeah.
doable.
And when you make your motion for your recommendation, you can add that.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're having, because I clearly will not remember this. So,
Are there any other prior policies that anyone had a question or comment on? Okay, I'll move on to the next one, which is policy housing 1.5.5. Here we revise the language to include as applicable and just made minor edits to clarity. Since we are working on it, the policy now reads as the town shall coordinate, as applicable, with the U.S. Department of Housing and Development, Florida State Housing Initiatives Partnership Program, SHIP, and other relevant agencies regarding the facilitation of affordable and workforce housing within the context of the town's land use framework.
Do you think that's strong enough to give the town and its current zoning the ability to, I mean, last time we spoke of, we didn't want to be in a position where the need to have affordable housing would require people's buildings not to continue or to be taken down, or not to be allowed to renovate so as to make it that they would tear them down. And I'm just throwing this out to everybody. Do you think it's flexible enough?
Well, I think that part of that is there are regulations as to where affordable housing can be. And if I remember correctly, part of that is it's got to be within a certain distance of like an industrial area or someplace where there is actually a lot of work. And we don't have that here.
Right.
which is why I think the as applicable sort of covers our.
Yeah. My,
Chair, we
I
could change
like
it to
the-
if required. Or
Yeah,
something
I like,
that.
right, I like I like the as applicable. What's bothering me is then you work with the other agencies regarding the facilitation of affordable and workforce housing within the context of the town's land use framework. That's a little vague. I mean, I'd like it to be more within the context of the town's required usages, something like that, because of how, if it's not close enough or whatever. I think within the context of the framework is a little vague.
Okay.
What if we said then applicable framework or then required?
No, I don't like framework.
You don't like
the
framework?
actual,
Because the reason for that is that the language of the ordinance may change. And one piece may change without the other pieces changing.
right.
So,
But I think you could say within the context of the town's, requirements, or,
Sure, we could also
land
say
use at the time, or,
Could also say if mandated, something like that.
Required, mandated, any one of
Right.
those words, but it should be.
Yeah,
strong.
because-
right, it's not strong enough.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's not that Highland Beach is going to require this. It's that either
Right.
Palm Beach County, the state, or the federal government are going to
Right.
require it.
Required.
So,
Not-
well,
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes their language is not quite required. So you need a little flexibility in there.
Well, see, I'm okay with that, but what's bothering me is that regarding the facilitation of these kind of housing within the context of the town's land use framework. I would like it to say within the context of the town's land use zoning requirements. I mean, I want the town, they can go fight it, but I want the town's requirements at the time to be what they're the context. I don't want it to be the framework. So someone could always say, well, it's in the framework, but it's not in the actual zoning requirements. That's what I'm looking for, so that you can say, well, our zoning doesn't allow for that because we're not near a facility, we're not near this, we're not near that. And the county and the state can always fight you. I mean, I'd like to start in a stronger place for the town.
Chair Mendelson, may I just
Yeah.
add? Okay, I'm looking at the town's permitted uses
Yes.
table. So this is divided up by each zoning district. So we have many different residential types of uses depending on the zoning district.
Right.
Single family, multifamily. There's nothing here about affordable. So I just want to make you aware of that.
Right, I know that.
I get the
Right.
point, right? You have to have sometimes a commercial center, right?
Right.
Certain transit, in order to
But-
trigger 40.
But over
Right.
time, which it helps with perhaps required, the rule may change in the next 20 years. So the issue is, and I understand applicable is trying to refer over time to what's in place. So maybe what we say is applicable or then required.
I'm not worried about the applicant. I'm
Um,
more interested in that last sentence, okay? So it's that that we'll coordinate as applicable to facilitate affordable and workforce housing within the context of our land use
Right.
framework. And I'd like it within the context of our land use laws, zoning laws.
Mhm.
And so
Madam
that
Chair,
it starts with what the town has at the time. And if the US government says, well, we trump you, okay, go to court and trump us. But I'd like it to not be so easy for them.
Okay.
Chair, I believe Chris Dougherty from Inspire wanted to
Yeah.
chime in on that.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to interject on the.
We hear you.
we hear you.
Okay, excellent. Could we just say within the context of the town's land use regulations?
Yes.
Yeah, or land
Okay.
development regulations. maybe.
That's all I've heard. That
Or either
way,
one.
we start with our regulations
Mhm.
and everything flows from there.
Perfect.
Excellent.
We can definitely do that.
Yeah, framework to regulations, yeah. I mean, I don't doubt for a minute that politically, whoever is doing whatever they're doing is going to fight something we do, so whatever. Okay,
I had to stop sharing. Let me go back. All right. Just takes a second. So we were on policy. This was okay. So next is policy housing 1.5.6. And this one, the planning board chair had requested more flexibility in the policy. So the town, we rewrote it as the town may establish application and processing procedures for affordable housing development as appropriate through its land development regulations.
okay, good. That's the same thing we just
Right.
did, so you did
So,
it there, okay.
Yeah, they're back to
That's
back,
the
so I
one.
think they're
Okay.
just building on each other. The next policy is housing 1.5.7 and also wanted more flexibility in this policy. And now reads as the town recognizes the benefits of affordable workforce housing and may support the implementation of relevant housing programs, including the Live Local Act as applicable. So that leaves us to the remaining steps in the amendment process. So next, depending on what your recommendation is, we will have transmittal hearing for the town commission. The date is to be determined, and we will include your recommended requests. If the commission votes to transmit, the updated comprehensive plan will go to the Florida Department of Commerce. That takes about 60 days for agencies to review. Based off of that, we will respond to agency comments with staff if necessary and if they provide us comments. And then lastly, for the town commission adoption hearing. And that leads us to our discussion. So if you have any questions, yes, I welcome them.
Does anyone have questions for Emily?
Sounds like we interrupted her enough as we were going along.
That's okay. They're good to
Okay.
have them during.
Anything else before we make a motion? Okay. All right, I make a motion that we accept all the changes that, what's the name of your company?
Inspire.
Inspire provided, with the further change in 1 point, what was yours?
1.5.
1.5.
1.1.4, where we change bus stops to whatever
transit
services there is. And 1.5.5, where we change the word framework to regulations,
Right.
right? Okay, anybody second?
Second.
Okay, would you like to call the roll, please? Thank you.
Chairperson Mendelson?
Yes.
Member David?
Yes.
Member Bobby?
Yes.
Member Powell?
Yes.
Member Axelrod?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rosen?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Did a
Thanks.
good job with
Thank
the
you.
revisions.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. Development order number PZ-25-28, Alana and Mikhail Vasilov. Application by William Thomas Unlimited Permit Services, Inc., requesting a special exception to install a 105 linear foot seawall and seawall cap, a 275 square foot dock, and a 33,000 pound capacity boat lift for the property located at 2564 South Ocean Boulevard. Town Planner Allen, do you have a presentation for us?
I do, just bear with me while I try to get it up. Oh, there we go. All right, as usual, I like to start off with some aerials of the property. The aerials do start on page 152 of your packets. So here we have the subject property. On the top left there, you have your north arrow. So this is kind of looking northward. You could see, and I do reference this in the staff report, there's some existing dock pilings there. There's also a mooring piling in the photo. Here we have another view of the subject property looking eastward. Again, you could see some of those remnant dock pilings. And here I found an aerial. This is off the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's website. This is an aerial from 2020. I'm sorry, Jacqueline, do you have the highlighter, the pen? As you could see, there's the actual dock that once existed there, along with a wood pier, right? That you can access that dock with. And then, so that's 2020. And then here's the aerial from 2021. Again, this is all in your packets. You could see that part of that dock is now gone. Yeah, right in this area, you could see, and some of those dock pilings are there now. So just sort of an interesting comparison between the initial aerials that I provided to you from 2025 and then these last two from 2021 and 2020. These photos were taken by our building official on January 9th, just to give you all some perspective. Here you have that existing rip wrap. And again, here's your north arrow down here. I'll just go through these quickly. Again, these are also in your packet. This is looking northward. There you see those remnant dock pilings. Again, some of those remnants with a little bit of a zoom in on the rip wrap. And this is looking northward. You could see the pool there in the back. So you have that retaining wall that's on the plan that's going to remain. And right here, this starts the adjacent seawall to the south, which belongs to the townhouses of Highland Beach. And then again, this is looking southward. Again, this is that park area that we talked about earlier with the ear, the open space, but this is their seawall. Again, we're looking southward here. So as the chair has already stated, this is a special exception request to install 105 linear feet of seawall and seawall cap. It's a 275 square foot concrete dock and a 33,000 pound capacity. This is an elevator boat lift. So they're going to remove the existing riprap according to their application, along with remains of the previous dock, the wood access pier, the boat lift, and a mooring pile. I did provide on page 147 of your packets in the memorandum, the FDP and Army Corps authorizations. There's two FDP permits that correspond to this request, and then the Army Corps permit, it's all that they're requesting is on that one Army Corps permit. I did note that there are some dimensional discrepancies between what the applicant submitted to FDP and Army Corps and what they submitted to us, which is the 11 by 17 plans that are before you. So again, on page 147, I provided you a table to highlight those discrepancies. I'll just go through those quickly. So with regards to the seawall elevation, FDP and Army Corps on their authorizations, the seawall is at 6.21 feet. On the 11 by 17 plans, the seawall elevation is at 7 feet. And that is because in our code, as you all are probably very well aware, seawalls on the west side of A1A have to be a base flood elevation or higher. Now, the current base flood elevation for this property is 7 feet. Last year, it was 6 feet, pending 7. So now it's actually at 7. So that's where they raised it. The dock square footage. So on the FDP and Army Corps, their dock was approved at 8 feet in width. So it was a total of 440 square foot dock. On the 11 by 17 plans, again, before you today, that dock is at 5 feet. Why? Because in January of 2025, we had accessory marine facility and seawall regulations that were adopted. And there's a provision in there that says that the seawall cap, right, and the dock can't be more than 8 feet combined. So their seawall cap is at 3 feet, which means they can only have a dock at 5. So they revised it, as you can see on the plans. So their dock is now 275 square feet. I do want to note, I advise the applicant during development review, they can go for a variance. Any applicant, any property owner can submit for a variance. They decided to just reduce the dock. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at some of these plan sheets. Again, these are in your packet, the 11 by 17. Got it here. This is the survey of the property. And here you can see on the survey, even on the survey, they show some of those existing dock piles. And here you have the existing, here's the riprap. I just wanted to mention to you, I did measure this based on the scale, and the riprap width does vary. It's anywhere from approximately 4 feet in width, and in the northern part, a little bit like about 8 feet. Again, that's just an approximate. And here you have the proposed plan. So you could see obviously the dock here, the boat lift, and then here's the seawall. The applicant's also proposing a 10-foot seawall return on both sides. And here you have the seawall and dock plan view. And here you have the seawall section. Now, I do want to bring to your attention that the seawall cap is 2 feet from the property line. I had initially asked the applicant during review of the application why they are putting it 2 feet from the property line, and I'll quote their response. They said that the proposed seawall location is consistent with the pre-existing hurricane damaged rock wall. Now, Army Corps and FDP approved the sea cap at 2 feet from the property line. As the board knows, we have some seawalls in the town that are within the property line, some are without. You know, typically we see seawalls along the property line. You could see that the applicant is also proposing some fill in that area as well. But again, when you look at that new provision that was adopted in January of 2025, the seawall cap width and the dock width max at 8, it's not measured from the property line or measured from the seawall base. It's just 8 feet. So they're in compliance with the code, but I just want to bring that to your attention. With regards to the boat lift, when you look at the lift detail here, the top of the lift is at 6 feet 6 inches. The lift is not higher than the superstructure of the boat when lifted, so they're in compliance with that. And you'll also see, and actually, let me go back a little bit. This particular property is zoned residential, single family, so they have to have the 25-foot setback. Oh, I think I just lost my, hold on a second. Just lost my PowerPoint. Well, that's okay. Oh, there it is. On the proposed plan, you'll see here, they have the 25-foot setback that, and, in compliance on both sides of the property. So a little bit more on the fill, they're filling in 1,360 square feet, and let me put up that detail so you could see that more clearly. You could see that, 360 square feet is from the property line westward, and then you have 1,000 square feet from the property line eastward. I did provide some language from our code on page 148. This is chapter 14, and you all have seen some landfill requests in the past. They have to get a permit from the commission. So if approved by the planning board on special exception, we did put a condition of approval that they obviously have to get the landfill request approved by the commission. So the proposed plans that, again, are before you, their date stamped July 24, 2025. Staff finds that they are consistent with the special exception provisions of the code where applicable. They're consistent with the town comprehensive plan. Now, if the board should grant approval, staff does recommend the following conditions of approval. Number one is sod or artificial turf shall be placed from the property line to the seawall cap. So we added this, or I added this provision because we have a provision in our code that's section 30-66C1A, and it says when you abut a waterway, you can have a hard surface for walking, sitting, and gathering to the property line or the seawall, whichever is further landward. So in this case, you can see the property line is further landward than the seawall. So this area right here, it's 2 feet. From the property line to the seawall cap, they can't have a hard surface there. The planning board, you all don't approve pavers, but this is more of a proactive condition of approval that the applicant has to put either sod or some sort of turf. Again, this will be called out a building permit, but we don't want to have the scenario where the applicant's like, well, the planning board approved it. And so we wanted just to call out that condition of approval. And then the other one is, of course, contingent upon the commission approving the landfill permit. I'll be glad to address any questions. We do have part of the authorized agents team here to address any questions.
Ingrid,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand what you said about that two-foot area.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Can you maybe translate that for somebody that's a
Right.
little naive about this?
Yeah, no problem. So see, they're filling in this area.
Right?
Again, what they fill it with as far as the surface, it's probably going to be pavers here. Maybe the authorized agent can elaborate on that. But we just want to be sure because again, the provision in our code reads, you can't have a hard surface. So if they pave to the seawall cap, you can't have a hard surface past the property line.
Well, so help me, how would they get?
Well, it's gonna
over-
be fill, but that on top of the fill, it has to be like a sod or some sort of turf. It can't be a hard
Basically,
paver.
You would, if you were walking out to the boat,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to visualize.
Yeah.
If you were walking out to the boat, you would walk along the pavers.
Right.
And then there would
Be
be
some
some
grass
sod
or sod, then you gotta step up because they increase
higher
the
than the
elevation
seawall.
up to the seawall cap and the dock.
And
Right.
then be able then to reach the boat.
Correct,
And the
the boat
boat
lift.
has a lift that makes
Correct,
it,
correct.
got it.
Yeah,
But the not hard surface, I mean, does that mean you like sink? And it's
oh
like,
no, it's all filled. It's gonna be filled. It's just
You
what
only
you
sink
put on
when it
top of it,
rains.
right? It can't
Right.
be per our code a hard surface,
So-
like pavers.
okay,
Yeah.
so what is it, like fake grass or something?
Yeah, it could be
or-
turf, sod, something soft, right? Because
Okay.
you're not supposed to have a continuation of your, rear patio to the seawall.
Okay.
In this
That's
case,
what we're
it's-
asking is
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
I'll call it that grassy area,
Yes.
that fill area.
Yeah.
if it rains and you go out to the dock, that's going to compact, correct?
Well, it's going to be right. I mean, grass drains, it percolates.
Right. It's going to be compacted, so it shouldn't sink. It should be fine.
Yeah, it should.
Shouldn't sink, but
No.
it will be affected by a heavy rain.
Yeah, might be turf.
Yes, it's a fill. Yes, it's all fill.
Right,
Correct.
that's compacted down.
Right. Maybe we should ask the applicant's representative what they're planning to put there.
You gotta swear me in?
Yeah.
She would like. Usually sleeps here.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Hey.
Dave Nutter with B&M Marine, as you all know.
Right.
No, what we're gonna do in that whole area, it's gonna be backfilled with clean fill material, sand or, something like that. And it's gonna be compacted as we go. Put in 12 inches, compact it down. Put in 12 inches, compact it down for the whole thing. So when the sod or the pavers finally go on, it's already compacted in, as dense as it can get. So when it rains and you got a good solid grass, real grass or turf, either one, it's not really gonna compact anything more, just like, your backyard. It's not gonna, when it rains, your backyard doesn't go down.
What about erosion of that packing, the fill? Will that occur over time, or I understand?
Where would it erode to?
Well, that's what I'm asking is,
Well, because you're
does
gonna,
it stay in place because it's between
between the new seawall and the old retaining.
and the old, it will stay in place?
Yeah, and if we put the new wall in right, it's gonna stay in place. And
Okay,
you seal it up so nothing.
that's my only question is, if you compact it, I understand, but the question is longevity and permanence. That was really my
Well,
question.
he said if he puts it in right, and of course, he's going to.
And
put
you
it
know
in
our work, we
right.
put everything. in it.
Okay.
I would think if there would be any concern, it would be with the existing wall.
But it's just gonna go back into the earth behind the existing wall.
But there's underground water movement. And again, if there's any issue with something that would potentially have a crack, a leak, a hole, that water could intrusion could, promote something, it's going to be the.
True, but I mean,
existing
we're
wall,
not
the
gonna
one- not
dig up the
necessarily
wall
one
to
you're
find
putting
out.
in. Right, right.
Yeah, so.
I can answer that question for you. Having an internal wall and then an external wall, if you think every property only has an external wall anyway, the internal wall can only add to it. It can't detract from it in any way because a regular property has a wall and then it's all dirt. So you have water intrusion no matter what. With that internal wall, it can only be additive, even if it's slightly additive. It can't possibly take anything away from it. So if anything, it's almost like a wall behind a wall, which will just stop dirt from moving as much anyway.
If I may add to that conversation, when this item, if it's approved by the board, goes to building permit, it has a structural engineering review at building permit. So we outsource our structural engineering review. So I just want to make you all aware that the structural component, the review of that is done at building permit.
But they like our work too. So.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a series of questions, Chair.
Series. Go ahead.
Great. Ingrid, this is going to be for both of you. So, but Ingrid, I'll start with you. I understand why you recommended the sod or artificial turf. This is a topic you and I and the team went through when we were doing all the marine accessory ordinance changes. And one of the things we talked about is that it's a bad idea to have sod or artificial turf all the way across the back, because as you're going from your property to your boat, you either have to go across hot artificial turf or you have to go across grass. And even if it's dry grass, you're then taking grass onto your boat, off your boat. You want to have a hardscape path to a dock. So if we're going to give them the extra land, let's give them the extra land and let's let them have a hardscape that goes all the way to the dock as we do to every other property. Or if we're not going to give them the extra land, that's fine, but let them still have the hardscape. But it's a bad idea to have artificial turf or grass all the way across the back of the property. It's unnecessary. So I would suggest the board considers not doing that part of it. Let's see, we've got a bunch of other things here.
But could I?
Isn't that a code- isn't it a code
You said
requirement?
Code requirement?
They need a variance.
You
It's a
said it
code
was a
requirement.
requirement.
Where we, for a Right, but that's for the excess land, if it's excess land, right? If it's beyond the property line.
She said it is.
If it's not
It
beyond the
is.
property line, we don't have that issue.
It is beyond the property, but
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, for a regular property, someone puts in a seawall, a dock, and a boat lift. They can have hardscape that gets them from their house to their boat lift. They can walk on pavers or concrete or travertine or whatever it's gonna be, right?
Again, that's not the way the code reads, though.
Our current code doesn't allow that?
No, I can read it to you
Okay.
verbatim, sure.
I thought we had that in there. I thought this was one of the things we debated.
Read it to you. So it's section 30-66C1A, says walkways, patios, and other hard surfaces for walking, gathering, and sitting shall be constructed of porous pervious base materials no closer than 4 feet to the property line, provided the height of the area does not extend more than 4 inches above the finished grade. And here's the part that applies in this case. Notwithstanding the foregoing, this was a new language that was adopted in, it was 2021 or 2022. Let's see. It was 2021. This is a new language from 2021. Notwithstanding the foregoing, when such walkways, patios, or other hard surfaces abut a waterway, canal, or lake, such hard surfaces may be constructed of non-porous, non-pervious base materials, although porous pervious base materials are encouraged and may encroach up to the property line or seawall abutting the water, whichever is further landward, so long as adequate on-site drainage as prepared by a registered design professional is provided for such hard surfaces.
Right, so for a regular property, my backyard, right? I can have a path that goes from my house to my dock that goes all the way to the edge of my property line, correct? Or no, that's,
Depends where your property line is, right? So it's a seawall, it just depends on the configuration. But in this case, and I'll be happy.
assuming my seawall's right on the
Okay.
property line. So I can have a hardscape all the way.
Right,
to-
if you have a seawall right on the property line, then, it's a seawall or property line, whichever is further landward. If they're both on the same, then you're good.
Right.
But this one comes out.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but that's what I was just saying. It's, let's either give them the opportunity to not have the extra land and have the pavers. The point is you always want to have a hardscape that goes all the way to where you're getting to on a dock. You don't want to have to walk over artificial turf or grass. If you're getting, what we're doing is I understand what the code says, but we're coming up with a bad final decision just from a, daily use perspective
Well-
because we're getting tripped up on the code.
Is there any other surface with your expertise that you would recommend that's not a hard surface?
No, what we should do is when we were all in the working group, we talked about that we should always have some sort of hardscape that someone can get to a dock on, and then we would have permeable and surface on either side. And we even talked about a 50% in the middle of the property and then the 25% sides or the side setbacks or something, or at least give them an 8-foot wide path, something to get them all the way to the dock.
21, I think, you don't look at every single nuance of each property,
Right.
right? So that now we have a little bit of we have a property with a little bit of nuance here. So the code section.
Totally agree.
It's a bit,
But Greg,
Yeah.
maybe it is the code, so I think maybe if we want, because it seems weird to me too, that you're walking up to your boat and all of a sudden you can't finish that hardscape.
It's a foolish result.
But, so why don't we suggest to the commission that be amended? Are we allowed to do that?
well, and I'll let Len chime in on that, but by the time that gets.
Right, you can recommend
Yeah.
it, but that's months and months and months, right?
But we could,
That for the future.
for going forward, so that it makes more sense.
You could recommend that be changed going forward.
Right.
It's not going to impact this application unless they want to wait months
They
and
don't
months.
seem to care. That's what or maybe you do. He doesn't care. Okay.
For
So-
purposes, go ahead.
So he doesn't care. So for purposes of this, because the code is what the code is, I think we have to do what the code says. And if the applicant wanted to try and get a variance, he could, but I don't think he wants to. So maybe we should focus on trying to go forward and make this a revision that makes it better for the future.
If I can add, and maybe Mr. Rubin could chime in, I don't know that they can get a variance because when you look at the variance criteria, it's for a dimensional requirement.
Okay.
So.
They don't care
Is that-
anyway, so it was just an
I'm
idea.
right on that?
I
Len?
believe, yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it in a while, but I believe it's just dimensional.
Just with or without your conditions, correct?
Again, this condition, it is based on a requirement. Now, typically, I wouldn't put a condition that's a regulation of the code, but given they have to go to permit, we wanted to be sure. So again, as I said earlier, it's
Right.
more of a proactive step on staff's part to let them know. But yeah, it's a code regulation, and we typically wouldn't provide a condition of approval on a code regulation. But we just want to be sure everyone is aware, once you go to building permit, that, you know, they can't say, well, the planning board approved this, but we have this additional regulation, which would typically be taken care of during zoning review of the permit. So.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. I've got a few other questions. The dolphin piling, is that coming out? That's getting pulled? Okay, great.
You'll have.
Sir, if,
Yeah,
yeah, if you,
that's-
you're gonna have to come up to the mic, state your name if you're gonna testify.
Hey, how you doing? Jeff?
Jeff, what? Jeff,
Hedden.
okay,
I represent Mr. Mikhail Vestlaw and Helena.
okay.
We've been trying to get this permit for this, with Army Corps of Engineers. It took 3.5 years. We want to give them their backyard back. The reason why the dock was destroyed, there was a boat that ran into it. And then we tried to repair it, got a permit got lapsed from the contractor that they hired, wasn't showing up, so the permit expired. So we had to do a new permit, new dock, which B&M we hired, what, 3.5, 4 years ago? So we've been trying to get with Army Corps of Engineers. They finally got approval. Now we're here sending it to the city. We just want his backyard back. That's it.
Okay.
So whatever we have to do to get it to get passed, we just need it done.
Understood.
So what?
A few more questions.
Yeah, okay.
The seawall that's going in the new seawall, the north side, does that match the existing seawall of the adjacent property? We're moving out a few feet beyond the property line. It looked to me like it basically matches distance into the water from the neighboring north property.
I believe it's matching properties on both sides.
Both sides? Okay, great. Next question. I know you're doing an elevator lift 33K. If you look at the property, it's a pretty beachy property, right? Is there a dredge permit that's planned, or are you gonna do some dredging as well so you can get that lift into the water?
I know, I didn't do the permitting on this one. The guy that did is out of town.
Is that
So
Bill
that's
Thomas?
Bill, so I got volunteered for this.
Okay.
I don't know if the DEP and the Army Corps include dredging or not. I didn't see it in there and I didn't see dredge plans.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the packet, but obviously that lift's got about 3 feet.
It's
with-
the beefy lift.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to be able to get that probably 5 feet into the water in order to get a boat on and off of it. And you have beach outside of that riprap, so there's probably going to be something like that needed.
They would have to just go back to the DEP and Army Corps to get the dredge permit.
Yep.
If I can just add to it, on the Army Corps permit on page 196 of your packets, they talk about the filling of 52.5 square feet of the tidal wetlands. I don't know if that.
That's the, between the cap and the.
Oh,
property line.
okay. I'm sure if that was dredging, but.
So is that something that you would want to add as a condition, or that they get the dredge permit? Okay,
I don't think we necessarily have to add it because I haven't been out to the property. There could be, the beach could be wider on both sides and they're putting the lift in the center. So I don't want to force them to do something that
Okay.
they may end up not needing. I'm just highlighting it because it's something they may have to think about doing. I don't know what the rule is on that, but if they're going to be dredging and they're doing fill, if they're allowed to use that fill for the dredging fill to go behind the property, you're not allowed to do that? Then, okay. So
Doesn't move well, but.
got it. That's the end of my questions.
okay. So I think where we are, unless anybody has any further questions or discussions, is that they've complied, but there's a couple conditions. One is they need their building permit. One is that they need to not put hardscape in that 2 feet. And is there any other conditions that you raised?
Just on page 148 of your packet, the two are listed.
148 of my packet.
We have to
Where
go through
was
the
it?
commission for the,
Yeah, you'll have to
Go
go before the commission for the permits, for the limits.
For the, right, the commission for.
on the code between the property line and the cap where we can't do hardscape. It said something about
Okay.
there, as long as we had drainage. Does
Yeah.
that mean we could do hardscape if we put drains in there?
I mean, it does say hardscape only to the property line or the seawall, whichever is further landward. Doesn't talk anything about,
I thought it did when you read that,
no.
because it mentioned drainage.
Yeah.
That was up to the property line, and that's what I was arguing for. It makes sense to have hardscape so you can actually get to
Okay.
your dock.
So
Okay.
yes, it is done.
Okay, so as Ingrid points out, the two conditions, if we were to approve this, that would come with it are on page 148 of our packets. So do I have any motions on this?
I move that we approve this application, subject to the conditions outlined by Ingrid Allen
Okay, on page 148.
on page 148.
Okay. Okay, do we have a second? Okay. Would you take the roll, please?
Member David,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Bobby,
Yes.
Member Axelrod,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rosen,
Yes.
Chairperson Mendelson.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. So my question is, if we want to start a process to make that code section clearer and more workable, how would we start doing that?
I think you would do, if that's what the board wants, you'd recommend, someone would do a motion to recommend to the town commission that they consider amending that provision to allow hardscape, even if it's past the property line.
I was
Right.
going to say on page 126 of your packets, I have the ordinance flow chart. I added it in there for the comprehensive plan amendments. So you could see, right, the ordinance initiation, it could be an advisory board initiation, right? And then, right, it would go to the commission as an introduction. So that's the flow of how an amendment to the ordinance would go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, would you like to make the motion?
Yeah, I would be thrilled to. I make a motion, Ingrid, I need to say that I'm going to sponsor it or someone's going to sponsor it. We have to have a sponsor, correct?
Yeah, I think that's something possibly the commission would discuss. I guess you can make your motion that you would like to be it.
That's
I
up
don't
to
see
the
an issue with
chair.
that, but,
Chair can decide.
No, I'm happy for you to do it.
Okay. I make a motion that we propose to the commission to change the ordinance to allow for hardscape even past the property line from a home to a dock. And I also make a motion to request to be the person sponsoring that change.
And I think you need to put the thing you want to change. What's the reference of the code section, Ingrid?
yeah, it's section 30-66 C as in Charlie 1A.
Okay, can you put that?
Section
in?
30-66C as in Charlie 1A.
Right, okay. That's what we're proposing to amend. Okay. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Could you read the roll, please?
Member Bobby,
Yes.
Member David,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Axelrod,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rosen,
Yes.
Chairperson Mendelson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was supposed to close the public hearing, but I didn't, so I am. And okay, we have announcements now. August 21st at 1:30, there's a town commission meeting. September 9th at 1 o'clock, there's a special magistrate hearing. And September 11th at 9:30, the next planning board meeting. I will not be here and Eve will be taking over. So anyway, I adjourn the meeting at 10:29.
Be mindful.